My name is Winn, born in 1923 at Price, Utah, Carbon County, the son of John L. Winn and Bertha Waddle. I, I can't remember my early life. Gee, the first thing I can remember of my life was that I can remember of when I was about 6 or 7 years old. From, from there back, I don't remember hardly anything. And what I remember is I was in first grade in Columbia, Utah, where we were living. And my dad was a blacksmith there working. And I can remember being first grade school. I was kept in the first grade. I never passed the first year, and I kept in there for the second year. Second year in my first grade, I can remember I was taken into the principal's office. And he was a big man, a very big man, who sat in front of me and communicate with me. I was having problems knowing what he was saying, what the purpose of it was. And I remember they had a school book out and they wanted me to read to them, but I read to them. And that's all I know, what was the purpose of it and why we were there. But then I can remember I wasn't passing, I wasn't learning anything, I couldn't read or anything. And so they wouldn't keep me in from the third grade. They decided to let me pass all the way through school, whether I could pass or not. I went that way from grade school through high school. Never got good grade to pass, and they just promoted me all the way through. And later on in my life, I talked to my mother. I think I was about, probably 10, 9, 11 years old, somewhere around there. One day I was talking to my mother. I wanted to know why am I different from other people? Why is I have trouble talking? I was slow to speak, I couldn't talk plain, I couldn't hear, I didn't know why, matter why. My mother told me part of my early life I didn't know about till about then. And she told me that when I was born with a baby, she said I was a normal child for 3 years. Nothing wrong and everything was normal. And when I finally I came down with measles. And she says that my measles was so bad in those days. He said that it was spread out all over town. All the young kids all had measles. I wasn't the only one. One little boy died from it. Another boy went blind from it. And she says, I was so sick that they had to get the doctor when he come to our home. And he examined me and went over me and he says, so Mom, he said, he is so infected from the measles, he can't pull through it, he won't live. I can't do anything. You might be prepared for it. She said he's going to be dead by tomorrow morning. And Mom says she determined she's going to do something about it. She wasn't going to accept to what the doctor said. Well, she said she got a big pot of water and put it on the coal source and boil it. And she said she took a white sheet and rip them up and make bandies and stuff and boil them. She boiled them in hot water and she put some other stuff in it to kill the germs. I don't know whether it's Clorox or what, but that's what she did. And she said she had me lay down on the sheet and she said she'd take a rag that's been soaked up and bathe me with it. And she said all the infection, she said she scrapes them off from my body, just scrape them off and pick them up in my bottle and put them in the pail to destroy them, you know, and then she'd get them more clean and work on. But she done that twice a day for I don't know how long. But I got well. And she said from that time on they noticed I lost my hearing. And so the reason I was able to talk and communicate is I learned that when I was in the first 30 years. And I talked that way all the time. And so I went on through high school and World War II came on. The war, the country was in war. And so a lot of the men had to leave their job and go in the service and go fight in the war. So that left an opportunity that I can go ahead and get a job, which I did.
How old were you?
19. I was 19 when I finished high school.
Mm-hmm.
I stepped back 1 year in the first grade. And so I learned the trade while I was working. I want to tell you something before I go on any further. Some of my life. I got records when I was born, 23, and I was blessed when I was 3 months old, and I was baptized when I was 8 years old, and then I ordained a deacon, and I was ordained. I wasn't ordained a teacher, but I later on, when I got a little bit older, I was ordained a priest. And then I was ordained an elder. And about that time, shortly after I was born an elder, I went to the Manti Temple for the first time in Manti, Utah.
How old were you at that time?
Oh, I don't remember the exact age, but I think I was probably in my, just almost 30 years old, something like that, 30, 31, somewhere in that neighborhood. And so I was ordained an elder. And then after the war was over, the company I worked for, I learned my trade, worked there for many years, and then the war was over, and some of the soldiers came home and made it harder to find jobs. If you don't have a job, it made it harder to find one. But the company I worked for, they sold out. Another coal company bought them out. And when they did, all the workers from the other company were laid off from their job. but they made a deal. They all had to go to the doctor and get a physical. If you pass your physical, they hire you back. If you can't pass it, they won't accept you back. So I went and get my physical, and my younger brother went with me. I went in the doctor, and I passed everything physical except me, the last one. The doctor was about from here, and that wall back in there, which would be about 20 feet away when he was talking to me. And I noticed he turned to Jack and said something to Jack, and Jack just, all he can do is nod his head. And he said, okay, turn around, face the wall. I turned around and to face the wall, and it seemed like a long time. But anyway, when we left there, I didn't know what the result was, and when we left there, I told Jack, why did he have me turn around? He said, Rabbi, he said, when he was talking to you, you nodded your head and you said you could hear him. But he kept dropping his voice down until he was just mouthing it and wasn't saying anything. So that's why he made you turn around. He discovered that you were lip reading. And so he said, I hate to tell you, he said, you didn't pass because of that. They won't let you go back. And so I had to learn, I had to go other places and work. It was hard to find other work, but I worked on the farm, helping pitch hay, or farmers need help. I'd go do that for a few days and then find something else and do that. And so later on we moved to White Canyon, Utah, down on the Colorado River, working in the uranium mine, mill, where they process uranium. My mother and dad, my brothers, Jack and Lynn and I, my sister and her family, all went down there and we all got to work on the uranium plant there. And it just, everybody down there, they had shack. They didn't have modern homes. They just hurry up and build a shack there and for the workers and family. And we all had one. And Mom and Dad had the boarding house there. Mom and Dad worked and Mom ran the boarding house. And that's where, and so they started a branch there. We had a branch president, and he was there for a while, and then he left, and they released him, and I was called as the branch president of that little branch.
How old were you?
This was for, this was about a year and a half before I went on the mission. I was branch president there, and then I got my call to go on the mission through California. And so we were released from that and went on the mission. And when we got my mission call, my mother and I, mother was concerned about my speech and all that. My mother and I was sitting down every day and I would read Book of Mormon out loud, and then if I missed a word, not pronounce it right, Mother would repeat it and help me work with it.
Did you have a hearing aid at this time?
Yeah, when I got my mission call, the bishop he flies the airplane. He had his own plane. He flew. The church requested they take me into Salt Lake and fit me up with a hearing aid. Or the bishop took me up there. Got in the University of Utah where they had the hearing test. We got there early in the morning, about 9 o'clock in the morning. We didn't get out of there till 6 o'clock that evening, running all that tests and everything. And the bishop and I hurried downtown, and the University of Utah ordered a special hearing aid for me. And we went down there quick as we can before they closed, and got it and flew back home.
So you were in your late 20s at that time, right?
But this was when I was 27 years
20
old.
So you lived 27 years without a hearing aid?
Hmm. Well, I'll take that back. I tried a hearing aid when I was in high school. They just came out. I used it for a year and I gave it up because it wasn't. All it does is make a lot of noise. I can hear, but I can't hear you talking.
Mm-hmm.
I can hear you, but I can't know what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I can hear good. I can hear cars running out there and all that. People hollering at me from way across the street. But I can't know what they're saying.
Uh-huh.
They just, and I have a little bit of that problem even now with the good hearing aid.
Mm-hmm.
I have that kind of problem now. I can't. Why you pronounce a word, I hear it different than what you hear it,
Uh-huh.
and I say it the way I hear it. Some of the things the words may have a K sound to it. Sometimes I either don't say the K sound, or I do say it when they're not supposed to be. That's the problem.
Uh-huh.
And it to me, it's like learning a new foreign language. That's what it looked to me, learning a foreign language. And that's where I was when I went on my first mission. I went to Northern California and I served 2 years there.
How did your dad feel about you going on a mission?
My dad.
Was he happy?
Okay, let me go back a little bit. My mother was a member of the church. Grandpa Ward, her dad went on the mission. The whole family was religious people. My dad didn't get any religion at all. He didn't know about the church much. He knew the Mormon and that, but he wasn't taught and trained in Mormon religion. And so what I and my brothers and sister learned about the church, Mother did it. She took it to church, she took it to primary. Mother went with us, took it to primary, and done all that work to get us to learning about the church. My dad wasn't never against it. He never was. He talked good about the Mormon people. He was impressed with them. He talked about Grandpa Warder all the time. He loved that man. And so all his brothers and sisters that way. Some of them got a little bit from Grandma Winn. All the brothers, I don't think any of them got it. Mostly the girls. Some of the girls raised a family in the church. But anyway.
You're talking about your aunts and your uncles?
My dad, brothers and sisters.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, when I went on the mission, California, I enjoy it. I was happy with it. But on the other hand, some of the things I was sad about. Some of the things I had difficult, I had problems. I had some few understanding missionary, others wasn't understanding, didn't realize. And I worked more with the one with more understanding. The other one, I had a problem, difficult with. It didn't work very long. Mission drive separated, so, you know. Anyway,
So
huh?
was your dad glad you were going on a mission? He was.
He wasn't against it. But I was the only one in the family that went on a mission, and I'm the only one I know of in our family that went on a full-time mission. I don't know any cousin or uncle or aunt or anybody who went on a full-time missionary before I did. I do have some that went after I did. We have some.
Well, Dad, tell us a little bit about your brothers and sisters. How many brothers and sisters do you have?
I have five. There's 5 of us in Mom and Dad family. Well, actually 6. The oldest one was Lorna. That's her name, Lorna. You. I didn't know her. I didn't know her. She died a few days after she was born. And then Glenn was born. Glenn 21. He's my oldest brother. And then I was born, 23. And my sister Leon was born 2 years after I was born. And then Jack, my younger brother, was born 2 years after Leon. And Lorraine was born, she's 47, 8, 9, 31, 2, 33. Lorraine was born about 7 years, just 7 years after Jack was born. And she's the youngest one. She's the one living in Salt Lake. After I served the mission, like I say, as far as I know, I was the first one, the only one I knew of the family that went on the mission. But Glenn, years later, after he was married, he had a family, and all his family was married off. Him and Bonner went on the Temple mission in Colorado, and Temple worked in the Temple mission in Colorado. The rest of my brothers and sisters never had the opportunity to go on the mission. And so, Lorraine had some boys, her boys, some of her boys went on the mission, Don and Maury.
Maurice.
They went on the mission. Winn went in the service. At the time he would graduate, or before he graduated, he left. I think either way, he went in the service, and he's still in the service. And went in full time, the missionary. Leon had one son, went on the mission, that's Jack, in Springfield. Tom and Reed and Clyde and Brad, never been on the mission. They brought their kids up in the church. They had them baptized, taught them. And Jack had one boy and three daughters. None of his kids went on the mission, but Janice his daughter had a son that went on the mission.
So, Dad, on your mission, when you went on your mission, tell what are some of the areas where you served?
First I served in Tracy, California, and in Austin, Sacramento, Roseville, back to Sacramento, and then I worked in San Francisco. That's where I met Mom.
Yeah.
At the time when I first saw her, and when I came to Roseville, and they went to Rosedale was our ward where the missionaries was living, and so we went to church there. I don't know how soon or when we met Diane's mother and father and family, but that's where I got to know them. The missionaries always get invited out for dinner, and that's what they did, invite me and my companion. And I got to know Diane, mother and dad, and know the family. Every time we go there and have dinner, I get to know them better and know them all. And they were really a lovely family, and all active and all that. And so I remember Diane. She used to sing in the choir, and she used to play the organ. She was busy doing church work, all that.
So when did you start thinking of her? When did you start thinking of Mom as someone you might be interested in?
When I got home off my mission.
When you got back home?
I got home off my mission, and I was working and I got back working and doing my other things, and then I got thinking about all the missionaries and all the people that I got to know in the mission field. Her family was one of them, so I wrote them a letter. Her mother wrote back, and that Diane was in Provo, going to BYU. And so I drove to Provo.
You drove to Provo?
Yeah, just go up and say hi to Diane.
Did she know you were coming, or did you surprise her? Did she know you were coming to see her, or did you surprise her?
I don't know if you did or not, did you? So I went up there. I remember going there one time. I had a room number in the apartment there she's living in on campus. Went there and knocked on the door, and door fling open. There was about 4 or 5 girls in there. One of them knew me. Winn. You know who she was? Was it Marcy?
Lucille Fraser. Lived in Springville. Marcia lived in the Bay Area though. There's a non-member roommate that lived in the Bay Area.
What family lived there in Provo? The Morgan.
Oh, she wasn't my roommate.
Oh, well, anyway.
She was there a lot though.
I think she was there.
Well, she wasn't my. She was over to my apartment a lot, but she wasn't my roommate.
Anyway, they told me Diane was someplace. I think you had a choir thing going on, and that's where you was that night. And they said she'll be back. Oh, you went out of town though, with a group.
You drove all the way there, and she wasn't there?
Yeah. And so I don't remember. I come back later, and I don't remember.
I went on a weekend with one of my roommates.
But anyway, I met her somewhere. I don't know if I went home or I came back or she got back before I left home. I don't know how it worked. But anyway, I kept driving up there, and once we drove up to Heber City. We went up there and we talking, you know, we was parked there by the big lake and talking, and took her out to dinner and all that. That's where she got hooked or I got hooked.
Sounds like you both got hooked.
I think she pulled my ear.
I was just there watching the lake, minding my own business.
But anyway, you know, that's where I started.